Episode 217, She is Dangerous. Seeing Fergus's tragic situation, everyone was shocked. Lindsay was even more frightened and threw herself into Alex's arms. Her body shook. The beauty in white looked relaxed. She looked at Fergus on the ground and said, "I only needed to cut off your finger, but you had to make trouble for yourself. A man who was once tall and handsome has now hurt himself irreparably. Why did you have to do this?" He just closed his eyes, clenched his teeth, and endured the great pain. He only hoped that she would leave quickly, so he could go to the hospital for treatment. "I ask you, are you convinced?" she said. He replied in great pain, "Yes, I'm convinced." "Will you take revenge on the little couple?" she asked. "No, I won't," he replied. The beautiful woman said with a smile, "Good. I have one last request. Don't talk about what happened here tonight, especially my appearance and whereabouts. If I find out that this news has leaked, all of you here will face severe consequences. You've seen what I can do." "Yes," he replied. Fergus's men and the waitstaff still standing nearby also chimed in. "Yes, we'll never talk about it. Our lips are sealed," they said. "You can rest assured that we won't talk about it." She nodded leisurely. She went to Alex and Lindsay. Lindsay was afraid of her and looked at her in horror. The white beauty sneered and said, "I saved you, and that's the look you give me? Do you think I was too cruel?" Lindsay's eyes were full of tears. She was too afraid and aggrieved to say a word. "It's okay, you don't have to be afraid. She's joking with you," Alex said as he wiped away her tears and comforted her. Lindsay buried her face in his chest and sobbed. Alex patted her on the back and said to the beauty, "Please forgive us. She's just really worked up right now." The white beauty smiled and said, "You didn't hesitate to protect her. I like that. All right, come with me." She walked out with Alex and Lindsay behind her. Fergus's men who had fallen to the ground quickly made way for them. Their faces were full of reverence and fear, but they averted their gaze as the three walked by. None of them wanted to attract the attention of the beauty in white. After leaving the restaurant, Alex wanted to leave with Lindsay, but he was afraid to make the woman in white angry. With her high level of martial arts skills, it could be very dangerous to make her displeased. So he continued to follow her. Eventually, the woman turned and said, "Okay, you can go first." "Thank you," Alex said respectfully. Then he got ready to leave with Lindsay. "Wait a minute. I mean, this girl can go, but you stay with me," she said. Alex was surprised and asked, "What can I do for you?" "I've just come to the US, and I'm not familiar with a lot of things. One of my maids is gone. I think you would be just right. When I finish what I need to do, you can go," she said. Lindsay was surprised and thought of the woman's violence at the restaurant. "Isn't it dangerous for Alex to follow her?" she thought. She stood in front of the woman and said, "I'll follow you. You let him go back." The beauty slowly shook her head and said, "It scared you too much, so you're not suitable." Lindsay replied, "Well then, I'll stay with him by your side." "Little girl, you can stay with me, but you'll see a lot of bleeding, fighting, and even killing," she said in a low and eerie voice. Lindsay shivered all over. Her eyes turned firm, and she said, "I'm not afraid. Take me with you." The beauty in white giggled and sighed. "Love leads us to strange places, doesn't it? You must love him quite a bit to want to follow him into danger. How interesting." Lindsay trembled, but she looked at her firmly. When she was finished laughing, the woman in white said, "You must go now. I just want this boy." "I can..." Lindsay had not finished. "If you don't leave, I'll cut off his feet. You saw that man's miserable situation in the restaurant. Do you want your boyfriend to have a taste of that?" said the woman. I... Lindsay was scared, and her eyes were full of panic. "You can go back by yourself. I'll be fine. I understand your feelings for me, but don't worry. I'll take care of myself," Alex said as he took Lindsay's hand. "Alex, I'm afraid for you," she said with tears. "If I count to 3 and you're still here, don't blame me for what happens next. 3, said the woman in white. Lindsay's heart tightened for fear that the beauty in white would hurt Alex. Feeling there was no other choice, she said to him anxiously, "Take care, please call me." Then she turned around and ran away into the distance. Alex sighed deeply. Lindsay's behavior was, after all, of her deep feelings for him. The beauty sneered and said, "If you look at her again, you'll go flying. Follow me." Alex's face turned red as he followed the beautiful woman in white. They walked to the side of the road. Thinking of her martial arts skills, he asked, "Did you guide me earlier? What kind of martial arts was that? Why can't other people hear you? Why can I only hear you?" She didn't look at him, but as she continued to walk, she said, "That's one of the unique skills of my school's technique. Just think of it as a quiet form of communication. If you continue to follow me, I'll teach it to you when it's time." He was overjoyed as he thought it would be fun to learn such a skill. "Thank you. By the way, what can I do for you?" She tightened her eyes and said, "I'm going to kill someone. It will take me some time to find them. I just arrived and I don't know much about the area. Naturally, I need a person to follow me. I think you are good-natured and handsome. You would be a good fit to take care of me for a while." Alex was startled. "Who are you going to kill? How did they offend you? Why do you want to kill them?" "I have my reasons for what I'm going to do. But that's not really any of your business, is it?" she laughed. He looked at her for a few seconds, sighed and said, "So, there's a grudge between you. Is that really any of my business? How long do you need to solve this matter? I'm a student and I have my own business to do." She said casually, "I don't know. It might be days or months. I won't treat you badly. But you must wait until my business is finished." Alex tried to think of something else to say. But before he could offer any other thoughts, she sneered. "You don't have to say anything. What I decided will not be changed easily. I'll leave you once you help me." Alex had no choice. He had to follow the beautiful woman in white for the time being. Alex took a taxi and went to the Tinsdale Hotel in the downtown area with the beauty in white. She had been staying here. She asked the front desk to give Alex a room next to hers, and she went back to her room by herself. When he waited for his room card, the front desk lady and several waiters in the hall came up to him and asked him about the woman. "She's covered all day and we can't see her face clearly. The ID card she used to register is obviously not hers, but the money she gave us was so much that our manager promised to check her in. Do you have a picture? Can you show it to us?" "I dream about that beautiful woman every day," said a waiter. "What's your relationship with her? Can you give me her WhatsApp?" asked another waiter. Alex coughed and said with an embarrassed smile, "We're guests. Aren't you violating our privacy with all these questions?" The front desk lady and waiters apologized to Alex one after another. "Please pardon us for disturbing you." The front desk lady took out another room card and said, "Mr. Ambrose, you and the woman appear to be good friends. Yesterday she said that her room card wasn't working. We have a new card for her. Would you mind giving her the new one and asking her to return the old card tomorrow?" "No problem," he said. He took the new card and went up to his room on the 4th floor. He took a bath and rested for a while. When he remembered that he still needed to give the woman her new card, he put on his clothes and walked to her door. Alex knocked on the door, but there was no response. He was surprised and wondered if something was wrong. He used the new card to open the door. He walked in and was surprised after seeing the scene in the room. She was sitting on the bed, naked with her eyes closed. She appeared to be practicing some of her skills. Her skin was white, her posture was graceful, and her black hair was wet. There was a sweet smell in the air from the scented soap she had used in the shower. Alex hadn't expected to walk into anything like this. He couldn't help but shake in surprise. He saw that there were purple curtains tied up at the front of the big bed. He raised his hands and threw a blade at one of the curtain ropes using the technique that Granny had taught him back in New York. Once the rope was severed, the curtains spread out and surrounded the whole bed. He turned his head and said, "I'm being reckless. I'm going out now." She opened her eyes and saw him through the curtain. Suddenly, she rose up and flew over to him. She grabbed him by the back of the neck and threw him down onto the ground. She grabbed his neck with her hand and said coldly, "What's the relationship between you and Grandma Georgina?" He was being choked, almost breathless, but managed to squeak out, "What are you talking about? I don't know." She let go of his neck and grabbed him by his clothes, throwing him across the room. He soared through the air and fell onto the bed with a thump. As soon as her hand lifted, the white robe that was hanging by the closet flew to her like a gust of wind. Alex realized that this mysterious woman must be like the granny back in New York. He didn't know if her powers came from magic, or if it was just some trick or secret technique that he couldn't understand. Either way, she was a dangerous person who he needed to deal with cautiously. She watched him as he gasped for air. "I saw the way you handled that blade. I recognize those moves. Who taught you how to do that?"